idea. Oh,
yeah, Skyla, you're so loud.
I
You just
actually
hear
couldn't hear.
ting.
Oh, that. Okay, yeah, that I did. Hold on.
Welcome to Read This Next with Laura and Nicole. This week we are talking about the completed series of 2020, specifically YA, even though we do have two adult ones that accidentally ended up on my list for work about completed series. But yeah.
Worth including because they're also very good ones.
They are. They look really good. So we're not really going to go in order of highlights and then recs today. We're just kind of going to go down our list because they're all over the place and we've read quite a few books in them. So yeah. You have anything to add?
Just that we've done this list every year for maybe like 5 years.
I think we have 2016 up for sure.
Yeah. And the reason we started doing it actually is because I had been talking to some teens and they were complaining about how frustrating it is when you read a new book and you really love it and then you have to wait like a year or more for the next book in the series.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, I wish I could just like binge a whole series at once. And I was like, okay, that's a book list, I think, right? So like the idea is these series are finished completely. So you can pick up the first book and read right to the end, no waiting, no like, sitting around wondering how that cliffhanger is going to turn out.
Yeah. Yeah. And we also have
straight through.
Yeah. And we also have all of them that are on the list. So it's not like you're going to go into the list and find ones that we have 2 books from and then there's nothing else anymore. And if we don't have it yet, it's because it's on order because some of them just came out.
Yes. Some were November books. I think even there was 1 or 2 that are just December books. So
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, in 2020, like Laura and I were talking about this the other day. You and I. Why do I say Laura and I? You and I were talking about this the other day, where normally the lists are a ridiculous amount of pages, and this year was only 4. So, like, I think, say 2017 or whatever was maybe like 8 to 10 pages. Like, it was ridiculous. And then this year, it's 4. So, I mean, less things came out. So it's interesting that this year was so few.
Yes.
But it makes sense.
And it's interesting also to look at this list because it kind of gives an overview of what kind of series are out there. And so you can kind of see trends that, like, obviously, well, you'll notice as we go through, if you're listening, right, you'll notice that there's lots of fantasy series. That's obviously very common. And then how kind of unusual realistic contemporary series are. Like, there's not a ton of them. Just sort of interesting to see.
Yeah, I wonder if that's because once they have their happily ever after,
what do you do, right?
What do you read?
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So anyway, so let's dive in. Do you want to start off with the first one?
Sure. Okay. Let me scroll back up to the top of the page. Okay. I have 2. Well, I guess I'm starting with my rec then. Sure. I feel like I might have talked about this one in a different episode, but my rec is Elizabeth Lim's Blood of the Stars duology. So that includes Spin the Dawn and Unravel the Dusk. I think I have talked about this one before. I'll just briefly mention it and then do the other one as my actual rec. Okay, so risking her life by disguising herself as a boy to secure the position of Imperial Tailor, Maya is given, right? I think I've talked about it. Maya is given the impossible task of sewing 3 magic gowns representing the sun, moon, and stars for the Emperor's reluctant bride. So, also on these lists, we usually include some like key points about how the book's written, what the main concepts are, and themes and things. So this one, the genre is Asian-influenced fantasy fiction, and high fantasy. Themes include girls disguised as boys, quests for magical items, and it is a own voice novel.
All good things.
All good things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go next?
Sure. Okay, I'm just going to pick one in particular that I'm interested in. So I'm going to talk about the Truly Devious series from Maureen Johnson. And Maureen Johnson is known for her realistic contemporary novels. She did that 13 Little Blue Envelopes years ago. That was really big. That was her. Yeah, so she's been around for a while in YA, but it's a trilogy, this one, and the book titles are Truly Devious, The Vanishing Stare, and The Hand on the Wall.
Ooh, just very
okay,
Nancy Drew.
Right, exactly, and that makes sense because this is a mystery series. The description, I think, is pretty fun. So here's the description. Ellingham Academy is a famous private school in Vermont. Hot location, I guess, Vermont, for the brightest thinkers, inventors, and artists. It was founded by Albert Ellingham, an early 20th century tycoon who wanted to make a wonderful place full of riddles, twisting pathways, and gardens. A place, he said, where learning is a game.
That sounds interesting.
Fun. But shortly after the school opened, his wife and daughter were kidnapped. The only real clue was a mocking riddle listing methods of murder, signed with the frightening pseudonym Truly Devious. It became one of the great unsolved crimes of American history. True crime aficionado Stevie Bell is set to begin her first year at Ellingham Academy, and she has an ambitious plan. She will solve this cold case. I feel like every student who's gone to the school probably has had this same plan, but okay. That is, she will solve the case when she gets a grip on her demanding new school life and her housemates. But something strange is happening. Truly Devious makes a surprise return, and death revisits Ellingham Academy. The past has crawled out of its grave. Someone has gotten away with murder.
Ooh, that does sound really good.
Murder, mystery, and it also has like the fun trope of the boarding school, right? Where you're living with all these people and you can't get away with them. So there's like scholastic and then also personal stories all happening in one location. Yeah. Just sounded like kind of a fun ride.
Oh, it does. And I think the reason boarding school ones are handy is because you can the parents don't exist.
Exactly.
They're not a problem. You either get them where they're in town and they're like, my grandma saw me. Oh no, I gotta go. But now it's like, we're hiding from the doctor. The doctor. It's a professor. Sure, they're a doctor. They have their doctorate.
Yeah, they could.
Oy, oy, oy. That sentence was a garbled woo. It sounds really good though.
Yeah, I was certainly intrigued. And especially it's like the little tagline blurb says, perfect for fans of Agatha Christie and E. Lockhart. And I was like, all you have to do is tell me that it's for fans of Agatha Christie. Now, I have been fooled before by descriptions who have told me that, and then I've read the book and it has not been true. But, I'm still intrigued.
Yeah, it sounds more fun and lighthearted than a lot of teen ones that are mysterious.
Yes.
All right. This is my rec for real this time. So I read Holly Black's Folk of the Air series, and the first one is The Cruel Prince. Then it's The Queen of Nothing, and then The Wicked King, which came out, I think, January this year. And Holly Black writes really, really good fairy stories. She has a couple that are more magic, less fairy, but the fairy ones are kind of her bread and butter, which I love. Yeah, so this one's described like this. Jude was 7 years old when her parents were murdered, and she and her two sisters were stolen away to live in the treacherous high court of fairy. 10 years later, Jude wants nothing more than to belong there despite her mortality. But many of the Fae despise humans, especially Prince Carden, the youngest and wickedest son of the High King. So that description does not give you nearly as much as that I will, because when you read it, it's so I don't want to say it's intricate, but it's very well built, and the tension between Jude and Carden lasts a very long time. Again, this is during that phase where I read my slow burn phase,
right?
And the books don't get worse, which is surprising for me. A lot of times in trilogies, I find they just kind of go down.
Yeah.
But it was really good, and it's got a lot of court intrigue. Like Jude becomes kind of like a spy and tries to change how things are going, and it's all very political, but not in like a human political way. It's more interesting because it's fairies. So
Right.
it's really good.
Obviously.
Check it out.
Question about Holly Black.
Yes.
So she writes a lot of fairy books. Are they in the same fairy world? Do you know what I mean?
I don't think so. Not that I can remember. I read her first series a really long time ago, Tithe.
Yes.
I don't think it is. I think it's just in the world of the fairy.
Okay.
It's possible, but
just wondering.
Yeah. Not that I've remembered or heard from reviews or anything.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Do you like fairy books? You're not a big fantasy person. Yeah. Yeah. This is a genre I didn't realize that was like a genre I loved.
There's lots of fairy books.
There is.
Yeah. I mean, I have read some. I can think of a series I read a couple years ago that was an adult series book that was quite good. Borderland was called the series. But generally speaking,
not your jam.
Not my jam. Yeah.
That's okay.
All right. So my next pick from this list is called, it's just a duology, this one, just the 2 books. So it's called We Set the Dark on Fire. And the first book is We Set the Dark on Fire. And the second is We Unleash the Merciless Storm. Like, that's, okay, set the dark on fire. Sounds, bad enough, but we unleash the merciless storm.
Ultimate drama.
Ultimate drama. Yes. Beautiful covers.
Oh,
just as an aside. The author's name is Taylor K. Miha. And it is fun. It's a dystopian fantasy. Culturally diverse. It's got LGBTQIA characters. It's an own voices story. So lots of good things going for it. So I'll give you the description. At the Medeo School for Girls, distinguished young women are trained for one of 2 roles in their society. They may either run a husband's household or raise his children.
Isn't that the same thing?
What 2 exciting options.
Yeah, isn't that like the same thing?
No.
Okay, not in this.
Not in this. Those are 2 separate jobs.
Love it. Okay, I'm here for it.
Far from the frequent political uprisings of the lower class. So our main character, Daniela, is the school's top student, but her bright future depends upon no one discovering her darkest secret, that her pedigree is a lie. She was smuggled into the school. She's not actually she's meant for she's risen above her station. Okay. Mm-hmm. So now that her marriage to an important political son is fast approaching, she must keep the truth hidden or be sent back to rule supreme. And why would you ever want to leave the chance to be either your husband's household manager or his, nanny for his children?
That sounds
what a delightful
like a dream.
Opportunity. Anyway, doesn't it? Anyway, okay, so when she graduates, she goes into the role, but now she has to make difficult decisions. She's asked to become a spy for the resistance group that's fighting to bring equality. She develops a relationship with another girl who is in the school with her. Their developing relationship is what drives a lot of the story.
Nice.
Just sounds like a real interesting time. Yes. Will she cling to the privilege or give up everything she strived for to, help her society and a chance at a forbidden love?
Oh my. It sounds
my. I
haven't read it. Shame, but it sounds kind of The Handmaid's Tale.
Shame. Yes. There's quite a few of these feminist dystopias. But it's specifically Handmaid's Tale, yes, right? Because it's sort of, there's like the wife and the handmaid role. Yeah. If you have read The Handmaid's Tale or watched the TV show, I guess. So it does have a similarity there.
Yeah.
But I think it does do its own thing as well.
Mm-hmm. Because it's got...
So that's that. That is that duology.
Love it.
Because it's got a real cute lesbian romance.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because it's a little bit gay.
It's a little bit gay.
A
Or a
little gay.
lot, maybe.
Oh. Okay, let's see.
Okay, so the other thing that I've decided to do in this list is just shout out a couple that have been on previous years' lists that are completed series that I think are really great, and especially if they're ones that I think are not getting the attention they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
They've kind of, floated out of the popular conscious a little bit. So the first one I want to talk about is this. It's so great. Nicole will put the cover up for us and you'll see that it's a very nice cover. And it is called Jacoby. It is by William Ritter and it's a series. And it's the way I came across this book is it's described as a mix between, or like perfect for fans of Sherlock Holmes and Doctor Who.
There you go. Super Who Lock. It's back.
It is. Yes. That honestly, it was when Super Who Lock was a big thing, was when I first came across this.
Love it.
Delightful. Supernatural mystery. So we have here we go. Okay. So newly arrived in New England in 1892. So this is also a historical. Abigail Rook becomes assistant to R.F. Jacoby, an investigator of the unexplained with the ability to see supernatural beings, and she helps him delve into a case of serial murder, which Jacoby is convinced is due to a non-human creature. Yeah, so basically it's like a detective story. She's kind of the Watson character, or in terms of the Doctor Who world, she would be the companion character. Yeah, but of course, the detective, he's doing his thing, but just like the companions and often Watson had an important role, she does as well, where she notices ordinary but important details. And also, unsurprisingly, this guy who has a supernatural abilities and everything, he's not so good with the everyday common sense stuff.
Of course.
He kind of needs the help. So yeah, they become a team. It's quite fun. Just a lot of stuff, adventures. The female character is she's not written as a sidekick. It's more that they are a team,
That's
because
good.
I remember, when I first read it, I was like, oh well, like she's just kind of the relegated to the back. No, it's the two of them work together to solve the mystery.
Love
cheeky
that.
humor and a dose of the macabre. Did I say that right?
I think it's the macabre, but it doesn't
Could
really
be.
I think it's the macabre, but
there's
an R in there. So
yeah, either way.
Of the macabre.
Candelabra.
Yeah, the candelabra. A dose of the candelabra.
Anyway, recommended. It's a real fun book, fun series.
And did that one come out in 2019? Or did it end in 2019?
I think it was a couple years ago.
Oh,
even,
nice.
Maybe. Jacoby, the first book was quite a while ago.
Nice.
It was, it's a good one.
It's a goodie.
A good one. Yeah.
Okay. The next one I'll talk about is the series is called Final Hour. It's by Juno Rushton, and the first book is called Every Last Breath, then There's Nothing to Fear, and then Until the End. Haven't read this one. It might even be an adult series. I can't remember which one it was classified under, but either way, I'll tell you about it. Maddox Kincaid is an expert at managing the impossible. Tasked with neutralizing a lethal bioweapon, she has everything under control until she collides with the former love of her life, back from the dead.
Okay, never mind. I thought that this was okay. I thought this was like a non-supernatural or sci-fi. Is that like literally back from the dead, or is it like one of those? Thought he was dead, but he.
I don't know. Oh, I'll keep going. We'll see if the description actually tells us. Okay. Recruiting Cole to save millions may be harder than resisting the attraction still burning between them, but Maddox will do whatever it takes, and the clock is ticking. When Maddox crashes back into Cole Matthews' life 9 years... Wait, okay, I think this is like the first one's from her perspective, and the second paragraph is from his perspective.
Yes.
Because then it goes, when Maddox crashes back into Cole Matthews' life 9 years after she left him for dead, he wants to know, so he probably isn't actually have died. He just like
seems to be more of a metaphorical left for dead.
Yeah, that's not great. He wants nothing more than to turn her away, but the threat of a pandemic looms, and
Ooh,
soon the former lovers find themselves working side by side to stop a world-class assassin with a secret that could destroy everything.
romantic suspense,
Mm-hmm.
a
Action
secret,
packed.
assassins.
Yeah, it sounds cute. Like it sounds more like a adult one, I
It
suspect.
does.
I suspect.
Action packed, quick read, probably one of those
Yeah.
ones that would like grab you in. You'd
Yeah.
zip through all 3 books, and you can do that. That's the whole point of this list. You can read the whole thing all at once.
Yeah, just power through it.
Power through.
And then cry because you don't have anything else to read.
Well, and then go back to this list and pick a different one.
Yes. Yes. That would be great. But yeah, so it's an adult one. All right, your turn.
Okay. All right. So my next one that is an older story is a trilogy, and it's by Megan Shepherd. And I will say, Nicole will put the cover up for us. And it's following conventions that, like, at the time it was published were very popular, but now I feel like it looks pretty dated.
The
Cage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Whereas Jacoby's cover holds up, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But this one, I will say it does look a little dated to me, but don't let that hold you back. The content is not dated. The content is wild.
Tell us more.
Yes, I shall. So this is what this book is about. It's almost, I would probably say it's like a science fiction trope. I know that I feel like I've seen it in Star Trek, possibly more than once. I feel like it's come up. And the trope is it's a human zoo.
That was in Steven Universe even.
There you go. So it's not an uncommon idea, but it is the only YA one I feel like I've come across with this particular.
I haven't heard any. Point. Yeah.
I think it's coincidentally I just read an adult book with this plot point.
Oh.
Yes, but this is the only YA one that I've come across. Anyway, so how it starts out, we've got our main character wakes up in a cage, hence the title, on an alien planet where she meets the Kindred, her mysterious alien captors, and along with other teenage abductees must find a way to escape back to Earth. Science fiction, action-packed, fast-paced. Yeah, and it's like it's one of those ones where there's a little bit of sort of mystery at the beginning because they're trying to figure out their situation. Mm-hmm. And then it's kind of develops into an adventure planning, almost a heist sort of thing, right? Because they're trying to escape.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's five teenagers who were taken.
Only 5.
Yes. And of course they're all teenagers. And they're different sort of types, right? So we've got a secretive genius, a beautiful model, a tattooed smuggler.
What's he smuggling at like as a teenager?
I don't know. Something. And
Spice.
An army brat. None of them have a clue as to what happened. And they learn to trust each other. And yeah. And then and at the beginning they don't realize that they're on another planet.
Oh. Well, I guess like that would be just the goal.
Right? Well, like you would just be like, I guess like I've been kidnapped by wealthy madmen. Yeah. I guess. Right? You probably wouldn't automatically go to I'm on an alien planet.
Your brain doesn't just go, this isn't Earth.
This isn't Earth. Yes. You'd probably make the assumption that you were on Earth. But they're not. Anyway, so as they learn new things. And then, yeah, there's 3 books in the series as they are trying to escape the zoo, the cage. And then book 2 is, I think, The Hunt. And book 3, The Gauntlet. Yeah. Ooh. So that's that series that I wanted to shout out.
Love it. All right. My last one that I'm going to read is by Sabah Tahir. The series is called Ember of Ashes, and I know this, you just said this one's really popular, or it used to be anyways, and it wrapped up this year. So the first one is An Ember in the Ashes, A Torch Against the Night, A Reaper at the Gates, and A Sky Beyond the Storm. Now my question for you, Laura. Yeah, they are. Is this the one that libraries were kind of in an uproar about because they didn't know where to put them anymore because it got moved to adult?
No.
Which one was
It is
that?
not. That was Sarah J. Maas.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
We'll talk about that sometime.
Yeah,
Things
why
that are
not?
new adults, whatever. Not this. It wasn't this one.
Yeah, we should do a new adult one. That'd be good. Okay. In this romantic and suspenseful fantasy series, Leia is one of the peace-loving scholars who live in fear of the brutal Martial Empire. After her brother is arrested for treachery, Leia joins the resistance and goes undercover as a slave in the Empire's military academy. Heart-stopping action and richly detailed world-building will engross fans of fantasy inspired by ancient civilizations.
Ooh.
That sounds good too.
Mm-hmm.
I also like that like just the fact that it's based on ancient civilizations is a little different than other things.
Yeah, and that first book was really big when it came out, but I feel like that's one of the ones where people were really excited for the first book, and then maybe excited for the second one, and then they kind of forgot about it by the time the last two books came out.
Yeah,
which is, I mean, that's the way it is in writing books. They're not like TV series where they all come out at once, right? So if you did pick that up at the time, now's your chance to finish it off.
Yeah, go back to it. Go back to an old fave. Finish it.
Yes. I just realized my final one actually is very similar to The Cage, actually, in a way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually, not just in a way. It's very similar to The Cage. Okay, so this book is another trilogy, and the trilogy series is called the Generation Trilogy. This is by Scott Siegler, and the books are Alive, Alight, and Alone. So, we're real intense.
I thought you were just describing the series.
No, those are the titles.
All right.
Okay, so this one is similar to The Cage in that this character woke up alone and didn't know where she was. A little bit similar.
Yeah.
Yes, but unlike The Cage, where they don't know where they are, but they know who they themselves are, this character wakes up and doesn't know anything about themselves as well.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So she wakes up to find herself trapped in a coffin.
Oh, well, of course she wouldn't know where she was.
Oh, yes. But she no idea who she is, where she is, or how she got there.
That'd be terrifying.
Terrifying. She fights her way out, but that doesn't really make her feel any better because she only finds a room lined with caskets. Like the one that she was in. And then she finds some other survivors, but everyone is equally confused. So nobody knows what's going on. But they kind of band together and start trying to find answers. And there's the kind of a little bit of that sort of Lord of the Flies thing where it's like a group of people who are thrown together, and different personalities, different people trying to take charge. And whereas in The Cage, they work together. This one, they do not all work together. So there's struggles. And they're trying to find out, answer those questions from the beginning. Who are they? Where are they? Why are they there? Trying to find a way to survive. Maybe there's a way out, or maybe, says the last line of the description, a reality they cannot comprehend lies just beyond the next turn.
Oh, maybe they are kidnapped by aliens.
Maybe. Anyway, it's good. I read it. I read the whole series. It's a science fiction one, which from that description may not sound like that really was, but it yes, science fiction, fast-paced, suspenseful. Quick reads, definitely. They will grab you in and you will just zoom through. Yeah, good series.
I like it.
I think that author writes adult books as well, I think, but this one is
what was
this
the
one
author?
is a YA series. Scott Siegler.
I'm just gonna look
Sigler.
No clue. I have not seen that name before.
Yeah, so either way, I feel like this could appeal to adults or teens.
Everyone get involved. That's like we always say. This list isn't just for teens. This is just young adult books that have wrapped up this year. check them out. And even like we were just saying, there's a whole new genre called new adult, because they're like people, what, 20 to 29-ish.
The idea is supposed to be books about that period in your life, like where you're out of high school, but you haven't necessarily gotten like a full-time job and a family.
Mm-hmm.
So when like you're kind of in transition, maybe you're in school or you're like getting your first job. It's not really a career job, but you're working, that sort of time in your life.
Yeah. So, something for everybody. And we'll, like we said, probably do one about new adult stuff, because it's fascinating what gets put in there and what doesn't.
It is. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's our show for this week.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do our wrap up, our plugs?
Absolutely. We want to let you know we are available on whatever your favorite podcast platform is, Tuesdays at 10 a.m. We'll be posting links in our social media, which is TBayPL across the board. Once you've listened to that, if you would rather watch us just chat in person and see all the cool titles, you can watch us the following Monday, same time, 10 a.m. And we will be, of course, posting all of our show notes at tbplofftheshelf.com, and you can always email us at readthisnext@tbpl.ca. And that is everything.
That is about everything. Please do comment, subscribe. We would love to hear your comments, suggestions for show topics, or your reviews of books we've mentioned.
Yeah. And we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.